graphics, everything live, huh?
Just do it all live.
Yeah, live to drive.
Oh, I've got to put the right. I'm such a doofus sometimes.
No, not you.
All right.
So we're not using. Is that 3, 4, 5? Okay.
Copy embed code. Yeah, I forgot to put the right embed on our website. So.
It's the details.
It is. And even if I had a list, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter, Kathleen.
Yep.
Tell me something good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just me.
Oh, well,
Do my wah-wah
you do what you got to do.
effect.
I was just making sure there was no EMT emergency.
I'll let you know. It'll be the thud you hear on the floor. The boom, you know.
I was hoping for a kerthonk.
Kerthonk works.
I'd much prefer a kerthonk.
I have so much padding, you probably won't get that thonk.
Oh, more of a thud?
Yes, definitely. The
I guess I need to turn some cameras on here.
We're number one. We're number one. Hey, Mom, we're number one.
Sometimes my cameras don't want to work. They give up the will. All right, there we go. Camera 3, camera Jeff, camera Kathleen. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna.
Don't hurt yourself. All them wires and cables in there. Oh, come on, Kathleen. Be a team player.
Yeah, Kathleen.
Ow.
By the way,
Catholic Underground.
excuse me. I had to clear my throat there. Now, with the HD shot, with them being so far left and right, what is that going to look like in SD? Are they going to be cut off?
They won't, because actually the way that we're working the Magics is they're just going to get their letterbox.
Letterbox? Okay, yeah. Good. Comprenez-vous?
Okay.
So that way you actually look like your slender selves and not horribly disfigured.
Good. I need all the help I can get there.
I lost 5 pounds this week.
Go for you. What are the pretzels doing to that?
Quiet, you. I'm hungry.
I'm just...
They're yogurt pretzels.
I thought you were supposed to be losing weight. Lay off, I'm starving.
They are yogurt. I had the choice between yogurt and chocolate.
Oh.
I picked yogurt.
Yogurt.
I did.
Is there less sugar in the yogurt ones?
Probably not.
Usually yogurt has a little more in the carb department.
Yeah.
But, hey, I think, let's see. Yes, he's online.
Ah, Father Ryan Humphreys joins
There
us
we go.
from his cherubim throne.
This is so bizarre. Let me tell you, I opened this up, and then this little deal down at the bottom, which is foreign to me, is actually an ad. But it's in.
It makes you want to click it, doesn't it?
Yeah, in fact, it did. It said, it said make phone calls, and I was like, I don't want that. Click, a new ad pops up.
Make music in your sleep.
Heavens. Well, let's see if we can get
Kathleen would probably like to make music in her sleep.
I would. Sometimes I think I do.
That's what we all think. But it's actually just snoring.
Hello, people.
Hey, Father.
Ah,
It's real.
This is happening.
You'd better believe it.
Oh, look, Mary Kate Taylor.
MKT Ultra.
That's correct. She's got to get
I've
her.
got 30 nicknames for her. She'd better get ready for one.
That's right. Do I get to pick one at random?
You do. You choose whatever one you want.
Oh.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's part of the package you get.
Feels like home, doesn't it?
It does.
Good to be here.
All right.
Apparently that's not right.
Now, Mary Kate, you will have to move into frame, which means that you and Kathleen are going to be very friendly.
I put on perfume too. And deodorant.
Both.
All right. Would you like me to hand you over the machine here? We almost had a camera 4 today. Almost. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of this? Is it Pound CU Pipe TV?
I do believe. Yeah. Let me pop over to ADM.
Because I'm not getting
If
it.
you got to put it in every time, the thing.
I can't make it stay. I can't make it be nice.
Okay. It's well, on the options bar of accounts.
Yeah. Oh, it says one per line. Okay, what should I type
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. So in all capitals, join
Mm-hmm.
space pound CU pipe TV.
All lowercase CU type TV.
Okay. And then enter.
Mm-hmm.
And then join again, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, find out where it plugs in.
And then
So you
pound.
do it twice.
Yeah, you do it twice for some reason, and then enter.
Mm-hmm.
And then in all caps, mode,
Mm-hmm.
and then pound CU pipe TV,
Okay.
and then plus the plus sign,
Mm-hmm.
NTF. So that's
Mhm.
yeah, you got it in Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah.
I guess
Those are all lowercase, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Bracket,
Mm-hmm. Without a space.
space bracket 3,
Mhm.
a lowercase Tango,
Mm-hmm.
close bracket,
Weird. Okay.
:5.
All right.
And then connect when ADM opens, I guess.
yeah, because that makes sense. Okay.
And then your account
Right.
should be your nick and then chat1.ustream.tv under
Yeah.
account.
Oh, there it is. It loaded right up.
Yeah. There will be a test later.
Yeah.
What do you know? Well, there it is.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm not sure what the story is with all that, but
I've
Okay.
decided that I do not like our router here at the station.
yeah, it's made of devil.
It must be.
It's a brand new brand. Evil.
It's quite. But you're probably. I would recommend that you just keep it in your hand. I just think you should keep it in your hand so that you're always able to. What your primary thing should be switching and not scrolling. So it might be helpful if you keep it in your hand so that way you're constantly, and it won't go to sleep that way. Because I think when it gets narcoleptic, that's whenever it stops. That's right. I guess that's what it is. So, so we'll see how that works. I don't know. I just
Let me ask a quick question
make
of
the
you.
pasta.
For my sermons, do you think I should do a VO or at the beginning like a bumper or just do
for your sermons.
yeah. I'm going to start putting sermons on the website. Should I put like a bumper on the front that just says from Immaculate Conception this sermon was given on such and such a date, or should I do like a stock bumper, or what do you think?
From the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Natchitoches,
Sounds like a disturbing voice.
homilies
In a
with
world.
Father Ryan Humphreys.
In a world where basilicas have sermons.
That's right.
And the
Homilies?
priest is Father Ryan.
Father Humphrey. I like that.
In a world where Mass is generally a good thing.
Yeah. So I mean, but do you think I should do something like a heavy VO, a bumper, or do a, or just I was going to do something just real light, with just my own voice because it would change every week.
Yeah, no, I would just do something light.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking about doing something more dramatic. Whoa.
That would be
Like
too
that.
much.
What?
I've lost hearing in one ear.
In this sermon from the Immaculate Conception, good things happen. People do good things. Bad people go to hell. It's a great day. We're looking forward to the morning rundown.
You're 3M. This homily is brought to you by 3M. It's the miracle acrylic bubble that makes it possible. Now, from the pulpit of Immaculate Conception Church in beautiful downtown Natchitoches, here's Father Ryan Humphreys.
Stay tuned, and we're going to teach you how to make frittatas.
I once made this frittata on a weekend Italian getaway
That could be the greatest movie.
with
I
a
mean,
movie
just- I love
star who shall remain nameless.
it. So overplays that part. It's just perfect.
Yep.
The rig we have for recording the sermon sounds spectacular.
Oh, good.
We have a Samson H4.
Is it the in-rack one or the?
No, it's I just took
just
the regular
sits-
one that and I took a mic splitter.
Oh, like the ones you get at Best Buy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah, yeah.
Samson H4 like we have the H2s.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
In every way.
It is. It makes me so happy. And I have all these extra 8 gig SD cards sitting around, so I just kind of cycle them through.
Perfect in every way. It's this homily from Father Ryan in the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. Get ready to rock. He's ready to preach.
Sponsored by Vidal Sassoon.
Yeah, I think
I'm not going to do a bed. I think that would be bad.
it would be bad.
Yeah, yeah.
The answer is yes, that is bad.
That is bad. Do 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 do.
That's real bad. Do 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 do. And I'm touching my cup now.
Trying to make sure we've got some actual line going out to the audio stream because we were a little.
Why do you look?
Well, who what?
Look at this. That's no.
You were praying. See, it's you praying.
I'm not praying. I look like a dummy.
The see you later one was much worse.
Where did I see that?
Click your face.
Oh my God.
Look underneath.
That's horrible. Oh no.
I didn't think it was.
Thank
I've
you.
got to bring up
It's
a window and look at all
playful.
this stuff.
It's playful.
It is. It's not. Okay, I'll go with it.
Do-do-do-do.
It's that bad.
I keep thinking of Elmo's song, though, when you do that. You keep it as that bad, and I go, ba-ba-ba-ba, Elmo's song.
Is that bad?
That's your only problem.
Well, I've got nephews. I mean, that's what they watch. They watch Elmo.
They do. Still. Still. At least they
It's
don't.
not a particularly bright or inventive song either.
No.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do, Elmo's song.
Well, he wrote it himself.
I think
It's a bit
Elmo's
on the
World,
nose.
I
What's that?
thought it was Elmo's World.
Well, that's the name
Well,
of the program.
That's the theme.
Yeah.
That was the lyric. Okay. My education was neglected.
Mary Kate, I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and just move that microphone a little bit for you.
It's not going
Yeah,
to
because
take.
it's actually blocking, kind of.
you go up. You're supposed
Well, I was trying to see the screen while being able to talk. Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
You can do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just remember to speak into it.
I will. You'll see.
Promise?
Talk at it. Talk at
I'm
it.
talking
Mark.
at it. All right. How's
That's
this?
beautiful.
All right.
Terrific,
talking.
lovely, marvelous, wonderful.
When you aim your face at it, it makes magical sounds.
Put things at your face.
Hey, did we get that one?
It even has an arrow that says,
Talk.
yeah, talk here. Somewhere. Yeah, see, it says end fire.
Yeah, no need for
There's an
acronym. No
arrow.
need for acronym.
In five.
End fire.
Is the lyric really Elmo's World?
That's what I thought. That's what I
No,
remember.
when he does the song with Snuffleupagus, it's Elmo's song.
Okay.
Because then he does Snuffy's song and Big Bird's song. But when he does like the theme for the show, it's Elmo's World.
But it's to the same. It's a
It's
reprise.
exactly the same thing.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
do you know that? Tell me that's father's phone, not mine.
Somebody ring
Oh,
it.
that's
Worse.
me.
It's Kathleen's.
Kathleen's.
Kathleen.
My bad.
Yeah,
Word.
let me put mine on silent now. But you do know that they changed Cookie Monster to Veggie Monster.
No, what is he green
Oh.
now?
Oh, how tragic.
They did.
Okay,
No.
Cookies.
you're dead to me, Children's Television Workshop. You're dead to me.
Well, when Katy Perry went on, I said we're pretty much done.
Yeah,
here.
I
We
think
can-
it was
we
done.
can hope.
Yeah.
No kidding.
To me, that was the end of it because what she did on the show was not particularly disturbing. It was just that she wore that disgusting outfit doing it.
Right. Well,
I
and the
was
fact
like,
that it was
eh.
a parody of her nasty song in the first place was kind of
Yeah, it's not good.
I totally had a pick of the week. Now it's gone.
I'm not buying it.
It's gone.
Everybody, Snuffy, Big Bird, come
There
see
it
what
is.
Elmo did.
Well, what have you done, Elmo?
I don't want to know anymore.
Old song,
Really? What's it called?
Elmo's song.
Oh, clever title.
Yeah, I wish I'd thought of that. He's not very
Snuffy,
bright.
Big Bird want to hear it?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
You can play the piano though. That little puppet.
Yeah. I've always found his voice psychotic, but that's
This is the song.
Da 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 da.
Elmo song. La 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 la.
Jeff Blackwell song. You see, it could be for you too.
La la la.
wow. I wish I had thought of that.
Don't drag me into this.
La 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 la.
We just lost 7 of our listeners.
It's only 6 watching now.
That's right.
Oh, sing
Good work.
That was the plan all along. I like the fact that Big Bird and Snuffy are providing the color commentary because they know that mere human beings can't get through the whole thing. But wait,
My nephew
there's a
has watched it
coda.
200 times.
Can't get through the thing without throwing up or what? Or just
Well,
can't get through it.
Yeah, any of those things.
Without suffering a psychotic break.
That's right. I'm wondering if I should go ahead and break the news of the Pope announcing the World Day of Fasting and Prayer at the top of the
7
show.
September,
Yeah, would that be a good idea?
probably.
Okay.
I mean, did the office over at the Vatican give you the authority to go ahead and put
Yes.
the word out?
Well, he said it.
Good.
Yeah. The Pope says all kind of stuff, though. You got to take a little bit of the grain of salt.
Bless salt, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. The man also appointed a new Secretary of State.
He did do.
Apparently, the Z thought it was a big deal. I did not.
Meh.
What can I say?
Secretaries come and secretaries go.
Next, we'll have a big, reporter commenting on how he's sweeping Rome, cleaning it up, and all that fun stuff they like to say that Francis is doing.
Yeah, well.
I think he's probably still down at the bar enjoying that delicious carbonara under the Yezu.
Man, that carbonara.
So good.
You know, Father Ryan, as you and I will have to experience together, there is something that is quite possibly better than carbonara.
What are you thinking?
Pasta cacio e pepe.
That
It's
sounds
a lot of name.
It is. It's basically the cheese of Rome, because Rome makes the Lazio section of Italy makes their own special blend of cheese,
Wow.
and then pepper, and so it's the cheese blended with the pepper that's kind of soaked into the pasta.
The perfect amount of pepper.
It is the perfect amount of pepper.
Now I was going to say, are these hot peppers or sort of like a
It's like black pepper.
bell Oh,
Yeah.
that kind of pepper. Okay.
Well, when we're over there in October, we'll do it.
We will.
For those listening, my parish, the Minor Basilica, the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary in Historic Downtown Natchitoches, will be sponsoring a pilgrimage to Rome next October, where we will start in Florence, and then we'll go down to Assisi, and then to Orvieto, and then to Rome.
So that's not just for your parishioners. It's
No, that's going to be. We're gonna give 2 weeks where it's just for my parishioners, so nobody who wants to go can't go,
right.
and then there will be a period where Father Chris's parishioners can get on board, and
Hi,
then it'll
I'm
be
Father
open to
Chris.
Catholic Underground people.
Yes, we will open it to Catholic Underground.
So there,
Lovely.
That's exciting.
it is. It's going to be fairly inexpensive too.
Wow.
All right, so Mary Kate, if it breaks down again,
Yeah, maybe you should just
if it breaks
Okay.
down again, and you'll know that it breaks down, right?
Has
'cause
it
it
mod-
goes to
mod-
black,
yeah.
right? Just exit and then re-enter. I put it above the phone button,
Gotcha.
and it should
Reboot. Yeah.
it should reboot itself.
Gotcha. Alrighty.
All right.
Now I know.
And of course, the program monitor is the one on the bottom. That's the one that's live.
Mm-hmm. The big
Hi,
one. Yes.
I'm alive. And then the preview is where Jeff Blackwell is going to sit for the rest of the show.
Yes.
Feel alive again.
Because we're not actually using the preview monitors. Oh, no.
Snip puzzle. Snip puzzle.
I'm having one of those days, folks.
Yeah, and it's been alcohol free too.
That's right. There's been no.
Boy. Yeah, okay. So
All right, let me get this this breaking news. I don't have a breaking news sounder. I know, Kathleen.
I am.
How don't you have like the wire from the 40s?
I can do that.
I'll
Not
do it.
right now, but
I'll do it.
Yeah, that's not working.
Hey, what do you got? I want to see what you got.
I just have a stony exterior and a general disdain for people.
Yeah, he does have that.
I can work with that.
Rats. I totally had one, but
Oh, I just screwed that up.
I wish I had a little more of that, Father Ryan.
You get it. It's the easiest way is to be a priest for a while.
Yeah, it's true.
That'll set you right up with a. No, I actually love my parishioners very much. I'm surprised at how well that's. It's not within my personality, but it's taken very well to my mind.
Oh, heavens. And I met one of your parishioners this week. She was at a conference here in Baton Rouge for the Department of Tourism. Her first name is Laney, and I can't remember her last name. I don't have her card with her. But
Yeah, she contacted us to get your info.
Is that right?
She did.
Wow. Okay.
I wouldn't lie to you, Jeff. No, she was very excited about meeting you and called and told me about it and then said, "Could you have his information? I lost his card or something."
Oh, yeah, because I did give her a card. She gave me hers, and I left it at home, so I didn't want to carry it with me down here.
Should I just bump the kickoff story?
Bump it to where?
No, underneath number 1.
You want to do that as breaking news at the top, or do you want to do it after a bumper somewhere randomly further down?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be hard to drop something like that in and then try to recover a playfulness.
Okay. I mean, I don't have to break it at the top of the show, I suppose. I mean, I can. I can transition to playful.
Yeah, we've tried that before.
I know it
Just
doesn't.
remember, we've
never
had
worked.
limited success with
Yeah, when you come out of those death dedications
That's right.
into
Death-
an
anyway.
up-tempo song.
Okay. Well, how about?
Did you ever hear that bit, by the way, Father Ryan?
Which bit is that?
Casey Kasem loses it one day in the studio. I'll have to send it to you.
Casey Kasem.
It's priceless. He
Yep.
loses it.
Just gone.
I would drop it.
After number 2. After
Yeah, we can
after
do that.
Tech World.
Yeah, I mean,
so-
because it's kind of a deep moment there anyway. So yeah, I think
kick
that's
off
fine.
Tech World. Yeah.
Did you delete the other? Yeah, that's fine.
Because that's gonna bring us about 15 in. So
Should be. Yeah.
thereabouts.
Just got to make sure that the number 1 there, our discussion is short, because otherwise we'll fall into a long, drawn out.
A black hole, and you know what that means. Oh, I don't have my sounds.
Yeah, I really didn't sell it. You know.
Jeff, I have
What-
no
What
sounds.
does that mean, Father Chris?
It should be up. I haven't touched it.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. You're right, Kathleen.
there you go.
What happened, Kathleen?
And you know what that means. Core breach imminent.
Blank, blank, blank.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's also pretty bad.
I'm trying to find something that would sound kind of newsy. This is real breaking news.
Important news today from the Jedi.
That's right.
Fifth caller wins the package.
That's right. And that package is death.
Vacation.
Oh, wait.
man.
Vacation.
Yeah, for a long
Full
time.
moon. That's a space.
I mean, death is kind of vacation.
Death
right?
vacation.
It's kind of a vacation.
Some
Yeah.
days it is.
It's more of a staycation,
Would
really.
be. Yeah, it is true.
Yeah,
Never want to come back.
Man, none of these are really good.
That's okay.
I will laugh. if you do
News
that.
from the Vatican.
Breaking news. Of course, I'd have to deliver it with a straight face, which is not easy.
You have
Actually,
to sell
it's-
that because it's an 80s bit.
Yeah, it is. Let's see.
We're officially 5 minutes out.
No, that won't work.
Hello?
It's the president of France.
When you get the call to be the driver for the president of France,
You don't say no.
don't say no.
Please hang up and try again.
That won't work either. Oh, well. All right. We may just have to do it at the end of the rejoin.
Rejoinder, yeah.
Der.
The segue way.
That's right.
Rejoinder. Okay.
The segue way.
Not exactly one of my...
Well, that's on
Finer
par with
moments.
my facade moment.
That's right, it was.
A facade moment, yeah.
Well, because SEGUE looks like seg by itself.
Yes.
It does.
And so I didn't even ever think that it would be segue.
You
Anyway.
need to parlay more Francaise.
Yeah, if only I did parlez-vous Francine more.
Bless your heart.
That's right.
4 minutes away.
Speaking of parlez-vouing, Father, do you want to pray?
I do want to pray. I'm a priest. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, thank you so much for the blessings and gifts you give us. And we pray that you would send your special blessing upon our efforts this evening, that you would protect us from all harm and all danger, and that you would put into our mouths words that men need to hear. We pray you would send your blessing upon us and upon all our listeners. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
All right. See you at the top of the hour.
And so Christ would be 3 days in the earth and rise in glory. We do not have to look to the past or to the future to understand the mystery of God. Yes, we learn from the traditions we've inherited from the past. And as Christians, we look ahead to the future. But we don't engage in neurotic and idle speculation. We don't make fantastic predictions. We don't agitate ourselves or arrogate to ourselves claims of special private revelations. We don't have to wander the world looking for signs about what lies ahead. We need to look to Christ, who is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
Faith Matters, a presentation of the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Next time on The Journey Home, join Marcus as he welcomes convert from Judaism and the director of the National Catholic Register, Dan Burke. See why he left his faith tradition for the one true church, the Catholic Church. That's on the next Journey Home, only on EWTN.
This is EWTN Radio.
Support for Catholic Community Radio comes from the Collision Center at Brian Harris Chevrolet. The Brian Harris Collision Center repairs all makes and models of cars and trucks. The Brian Harris Chevrolet Collision Services on Florida Boulevard.
Citizens Bank and Trust is a proud supporter of Catholic Community Radio. Citizens Bank and Trust. Online at citizensbankandtrust.com. That's citizensbankandtrust.com.
Pepper's Fresh Market on Airline Highway in Prairieville is a proud supporter of Catholic Community Radio. Tim and Kim Godso are the new owners of Pepper's, and along with their son Kalen and daughter Carrie, are members of Most Blessed Sacrament Parish. Pepper's Fresh Market features fresh fruits, vegetables, and seafood, including crawfish. Pepper's is located at 17497 Airline Highway in Prairieville. Their number is 673-9083 or on Facebook at Pepper's Fresh Market.
You are listening to Catholic Radio for your community. We rely on you, and this is your station. We cannot remain on the air without your generosity, so please consider a financial gift today. Then log on to CatholicCommunityRadio.org.
Weather forecasts on Catholic Community Radio are brought to you by the National Weather Service and sponsored in part by you. Log on to CatholicCommunityRadio.org. Catholic Community Radio is a listener-supported apostolate, but we do have sponsorship opportunities for business owners. I'm here with Louis Prejean, Director of Development. Louis, if I'm a business owner that wants to support the mission of Catholic Radio, what do I do?
Yeah, basically, just give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. If you're a business owner or a business manager, and you're looking for more visibility within the community, give us a call. And you can reach me anytime at area code 225-448-3754.
Catholic Community Radio
Catholic radio for your community
is listener supported.
1380
WPYR Baton Rouge.
This is your station.
Catholic radio for your community.
From from the Catholic Underground.
Today on the show, the tenor has a new face, but it's not J.R.R. Tolkien. Pope Benedict was not moved by a mystical experience, but the KCs are hoping for one. Our picks of the week and so much more. The Catholic Underground starts now. Alrighty, welcome to the Catholic Underground. Make sure that all of your seat backs and tray tables are in their full and upright and locked position because we're moving forward with your weekly Catholic Guide to the Digital Continent. It's episode number 239. I'm Father Chris Decker, and if you're listening live, you can join us in the chat room at catholicunderground.tv. A special welcome to our listeners around the world on television, on radio, and on the internet. Joining me this week, we've got Father Ryan Humphreys. He's the rector of the Minor Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in North Louisiana. Hello, Father.
Hello, world.
We got Kathleen Lee, who is a teacher at St. Joseph's Academy in Baton Rouge, and she is our resident faith ninja here at the CU. Hello, Kathleen.
Hello, everyone.
And we've got Jeff Blackwell, who's the technical director of the CU. He's the commandant of the Jeff Star 1 near-Earth orbiting satellite. Hello, Jeff.
Pleasure to be here, Father.
And Mary Kate Taylor. She is our video director and part-time literary critic here at the CU. Right. Hello to you, Mary Kate.
Hello, world.
Yes, indeed. And first up from the irony desk, Jane Austen replaces Charles Darwin on the 10-pound note. Now, Father Ryan, I have never actually used UK currency before, but this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, in effect, natural selection has won out, and Charles Darwin, patron saint of modern intellectual elite, has been pushed off the 10-pound note and replaced by Jane Austen, who feminists hold up as their icon, but who is in fact a paragon of traditional values. So it's a wonderful kind of erotic moment where the in the UK they think they're really moving forward, and in fact they're embracing the past. It's a great twist.
Bully.
That's right. Yeah, I tell you.
I say.
So is it survival of the fattest wallet? I guess. I don't know. So It's
survival of affirmative action is what it is. They need more ladies on the notes.
So is that what
the
happened?
Queen is not a big enough deal.
Oh, I see. So, and I wonder if that was maybe part of the deal, right? Where, well, we're only going to have the one lady who matters, and that's the Queen on our currency. So basically, the Bank of England is kind of folding to public pressure.
Yeah, basically, they've been wanting to do something that seems more inclusive, and this seems like a good thing to do, I guess.
I suppose. So there it is. Now, Mary Kate, you actually you read Jane Austen.
Oh, I do. I love Jane Austen.
Yeah. So how do you feel about her being on the 10-pound note? That's a pretty big denomination of currency.
Well, I remembered this quote from Emma where she says, "Where little minds belong to rich people in authority, I think they have a knack of swelling out. They are quite as unmanageable as great ones." And of course, Emma is all about rich, unmanageable people managing other people. So I don't know. It was very. I think it was very apt that Jane Austen is now on the
and
currency.
So now, as people manage other people's money, who manage other people. We have Jane Austen staring him back in the face going,
and she loved
great.
money, obviously. I came across a quote of hers today. It said, "A large income is the best recipe for happiness I ever heard of."
Oh, well, there you go.
Go Jane.
So maybe that's why they put her on the tenor there, Father Ryan.
I think so, but I mean, Jane Austen really is an image of what makes England great, what makes England spectacular, and they couldn't very well put Chesterton on there, So I mean, they needed somebody who absolutely embodied the old English ideal.
Yeah.
And of course, for the intellectual elites, they've kind of pretend that Austen is in their camp. She's not, but they pretend she is, and so she was the perfect choice.
You think perhaps they'd just read some of her books and get an idea of who she was?
Perhaps.
Yeah,
you think, but I mean, remember the whole notion of feminism is to explain away the truth.
Oh, right.
So you read the book and you interpret away everything that's real about it until you're left with what you want it to be.
Yeah, the radical feminism, you mean, right?
You can send angry emails to Father Ryan Humphreys.
That's right. That's right. That's Fr Ryan at CatholicUnderground.com. There you go. Yep.
Well, I mean, I think as someone that really likes to read Jane Austen, I think the feminists tend to. I think it's because as a woman, she had a certain amount of independence and didn't do things, I suppose, according to tradition. But I don't know. I mean, I think I think there's definitely a lot of I mean, all of her women usually do. I mean, they're strong and they're heroic, but at the same time, they do have a certain respect for their families,
Sure.
for what their calling is, and
Well,
So I think it's definitely misinterpreted.
Jane
but-
Austen's women are generally they are ladies, right? They are women that are self-possessed,
cultivated, intelligent, and
exactly.
have dignity.
Well, I think the thing that makes her writing in particular something that was out of time for the era is that everybody wanted the illusion that all the women were perfect little women who never did anything wrong, and she portrayed real women as they were.
Yeah.
But at the same time, real women who very much wanted to conform to the social mores of their era.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have people like Miss Bennet and Emma, who in the end of those stories always conform to the societal ideal of women. And even Jane Austen, you know, I think I'm accurate about this, published under her brother's name, and was very careful not to break societal rules for herself. And so even though she was a very strong thinker, she still found a way to do that within the mores of her era, obviously pushing forward, but pushing forward in a way to simply say, this is real life, and the fantasy is not real.
Yeah.
But I don't think in any way, shape, or form she becomes, you know, anything like what we call modern day feminist.
Yeah, which is why Kathleen is now publishing her books under the name Dr. Kevin Splitpea.
Yes.
And so,
You're gonna.
oh, I'm sorry, I gave it all
I had to
away.
Pick a new one.
Oh well, yeah.
It was such a good one.
It was.
Yeah.
I never would have even thought.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Well. In news that is neither ironic nor funny, it seems that Maryland schools are set to use whiteboards that have been made bulletproof. Now, Kathleen, that's pretty serious.
Yeah, well, you know, actually, the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, so a smaller university, will introduce bulletproof whiteboards in its classrooms this fall. So I'm supposing that either they have already or they will
be installing them.
Sure. And Hardware, the company that manufactures these boards, say, quote, it's basically a police shield with a whiteboard surface, end quote. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with, you know, what a whiteboard is, basically a chalkboard that you can write on with marker.
Yeah.
But the boards are 4 times the size of a bulletproof vest, but still weigh about as much as an average whiteboard. And that's pretty.
It's a substantial thing.
Yeah, you know, but they're pretty light compared to something I would imagine being bulletproof.
Yeah.
But they're designed to hang on the wall or a door, and these whiteboards are going to cost about $299, which is about twice the amount of the average cost of a whiteboard.
Jeff, how much would you expect to pay for a Kevlar whiteboard?
Don't get me started. You know, and you really can't put a price on it when it comes to if it's from the standpoint like with the police use it, you know, to save their life. There's a price. But I got to tell you this. If I think the schools, well, first of all, Maryland is a kind of a touchy-feely state anyway. They're pretty liberal, and
I think it's on license plates there. The touchy-feely state.
That's where I saw it. But if I felt like my kids were in that much danger, I'd pack up and move. I'd go, take them to a different school. So I don't know. I just think this is like taking a slingshot to a duel. It's
Well, I can see where they're coming from, though, because there has certainly been a lot of worry in the past because for whatever reason, it seems like a lot of the crazy things that have been happening have been in the setting of a school. And so, Kathleen, do you think that maybe this is just one of those opportunities to maybe, I hate to say capitalize, but to say, well, a whiteboard is something that is in almost every school, and so we want to provide something akin to a seat back cushion that may be used for flotation in the event of an emergency.
Yeah, I definitely think that the alternative is we see, you know, somewhat of a military presence in our schools, which is, you know, after events like Connecticut and Virginia Tech, Columbine, you saw a lot of that happening. Armed guards, we at St. Joseph put up a fence around our school, and while they tried to make it, you know, appease, like it looks pretty good. Yeah. The idea is, I think that this is something very interesting, an interesting idea, because it's something that goes into the classroom on a normal basis.
Yeah.
So whether the kids know or are aware that it's bulletproof or not, you know, even if you say at the beginning of school, hey, these are just in case, because all schools now, whether we like it or not, have drills for intruders.
And you've been through those drills.
I've been through them.
Is it chilling when you have to go through the drill?
It's scary because you think, especially in a classroom like mine, I don't have blinds.
Yeah.
They weren't installed, so I have 2 wide open windows.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think about the possibility, and whereas this is something that's really non-obtrusive, it's but if you tell the kids that it's bulletproof in the beginning, sooner or later they're going to get used to the fact that it's just there.
Yeah.
And that won't be the first thing that they think about. But I think it's an interesting idea. I really like the idea of using things that are already in the classroom for the possibility. And you never know.
So the idea is that you would just take this thing down.
Sure.
You'd take it down and you'd use it as a shield.
Mm-hmm. Well, in our classrooms, we were told to flip the desks and to hide behind the desk. And so, whether I can put this up against
the door,
to close off the window, whether I can put it up against,
Yeah, but this is 4 times the size of a bulletproof vest, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
As big as I am, you can imagine me trying to hide behind something like that. And a crazy nut's going to take your legs out. They're going to get to you one way or the other. Why not
Jeff's already thought about this.
Why not have a teacher that's trained, to pack a pistol?
Well, of course, that's always a big question nowadays too.
Yeah.
My concern about it is, as Kathleen was saying, Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, Columbine. I mean, we can count on one hand the number of actual school shootings that have taken place in the last 20 years.
Sure.
And so, of course, we are all in a panic, because the media has gotten us into a panic. But the reality is, if somebody wants to do evil, they're going to find a way to do evil. And so I'm all about drills. I'm all about preparedness, and I'm all about teachers packing 9mm. But, again, it just feels like to me, makes us feel safer without actually doing anything. It's like trying to put stricter laws on legal guns and not doing anything about illegal guns.
Yeah.
Maybe you reduce, crime by 1/10 of 1%, but, what if you actually tried to address the problem? And in this case, it's one of those tragedies where if somebody's crazy and they want to shoot up a school, they're going to find a way.
Sure.
So I don't know. I like the idea that we're trying to do something that's not appearing to be military, but I think at the same time, a lot of that panic is panic that's been, taken advantage of by politicians and media to push a cause and not a real threat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mary Kate, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with Father Ryan. I think that whenever people get into this sort of panic, they attempt to sort of do these rather impractical things to make a sign to other people that, look, we are actually trying to do something to protect your children. And I understand that, but at the same time, I do feel like certain things need to happen that are a little bit more in depth than that, because
I mean, I think it's a good idea, but it's a very telling sign of where our culture is traveling in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And again, evil will always seek a way to get its mission accomplished
in some different form.
And exactly. But of course, we know that preparation is important, and so I think that if this is maybe a step in a direction, then it could be very useful. If having a bulletproof whiteboard is a step towards maybe looking deeper at what we as a faculty can do. Or even what students can do to prepare, and I think from what I'm hearing from like yourself, Kathleen, and other teachers, there is a lot of thought going in right now as to, okay, well, exactly what do we need to do so that in a sense we the teachers become the military, and we can police our campus.
Definitely, because when things like this happen and you are a teacher and it is in the classroom, you immediately think, what would happen if that were my classroom?
Sure.
Right.
And so you immediately, and that is such a precious balance between how do we keep our schools from being these locked down,
prisons,
scary places,
right.
Rather than what I walk through right now, where it's colors coming out the wazoo and pictures on the wall
and nice track lighting, I'd wager.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place to be, and so how do we keep those two worlds, those two visions
Yeah.
Right? Different.
Yeah, TMR1013 in the chat room at CatholicUnderground.tv says, what about having a few police officers on campus? Does St. Joseph have police officers?
We have a police officer, at least one.
Yeah, I know many public schools do.
Sure, and they don't, they walk around campus and drive around.
Yeah.
We're not like, we don't have to go through metal detectors to get to class.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we do have that, and that came about after Sandy Hook, I believe.
Yeah, in whenever I was in school, so from I guess 96 to 99, is that right? 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we wouldn't have to worry about that either. Thanks be to God. I don't know if I would have been comfortable going to school having to walk through a metal detector, but that's a reality. Yeah. That's just kind of where we are. So I'm all about safety, but I would say, yeah, is this really being safe, or is it just kind of making everybody feel safe? So we'll see where it goes. All right, you're listening to the Catholic Underground, which is your Catholic faith presented in such a way where you know what's going on the digital continent. I'm Father Chris Decker. Alongside of me, we've got Kathleen Lee right here and Mary Kate Taylor. It's good to see you both. And then, of course, Father Ryan Humphreys, who is always on the line. Tell him what you want. Hello, Father.
Hello, people.
And Jeff Blackwell, who is always riding the levels for us. Thank you, Jeff, for being there.
Oh, thank you, Father.
Yes, indeed. For a little bit of breaking news, on Saturday the 7th of September in St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis said, from 7 p.m. until midnight, he urged the people of St. Peter's Square to gather in prayer in a spirit of penitence and to ask from God this great gift of peace for the beloved Syrian nation and for all the situations of conflict and violence in the world. The Holy Father also invited non-Catholic Christians and non-Christian believers to participate in ways they feel are appropriate. He quoted saying, "Never again war. We want a peaceful world. We want to be men and women of peace." And so what the Holy Father has done is extended that period of prayer on the 7th of September to the Universal Church. And so I would imagine over the course of the week, we'll be discovering ways in which maybe we can do that period of prayer on Saturday. I myself am thinking about having maybe a special Mass for the specific prayer for peace. I know, Father Ryan, there is a part in the lectionary or I should say in the missal for that.
There is. There's actually 2 masses.
Yeah, for peace, for justice and peace, I believe.
For justice and peace and for refugees.
That's correct, and for refugees. And so there are some options there. Maybe see what your parish is doing, and if you're not doing anything, and perhaps maybe if there's no liturgy that's scheduled, it would be a good opportunity for you to go to your parish church on Saturday and perhaps pray a rosary for peace or something of that nature. So we break that news to you so you can begin the prayer right now. Well, on a lighter note, Facebook has launched shared albums. Now no longer are you simply relegated to uploading your own photos, but you can actually take those photos of maybe me and Kathleen, you see? And maybe she's got some pictures of me from one of our many youth events. And
perhaps
we can share that. Yeah, we know all of Kathleen's pictures of me would probably be the ones of me making a funny face, like, yeah, something like that.
I got some good ones.
Yeah, I bet you do. So, Jeff, you use Facebook.
I do, and it's kind of I never really. I don't know.
You not upload a lot of pictures?
I do have a couple of albums, and the one thing that I do like about it is the ability to keep up with other family members because we don't necessarily stay in touch by phone or even email, but I can jump on Facebook and I can look at their latest pictures and what have you.
Yeah.
So I do like that aspect of it, but then when you start sharing it, I don't know. I just have this thing about, some of my pictures winding up somewhere else out there in the world on somebody else's
machine.
Yeah, and I guess
because not many people know this about Jeff Blackwell, but he hates to be seen in party hats. And so, the cone-shaped ones?
Yeah, those especially.
Yeah, no, of all. And so the last thing that Jeff wants, and I can understand this, is for somebody to have a picture of you in a silly party hat on their machine.
Yeah. And with the graphic abilities in software now, they can do all kinds of things with it.
That's exactly right.
Maybe make me look thinner. Wouldn't that be great? But I don't know. It's just that I think that I learned a long time ago that anytime you post anything, even if it's on your own You just better expect that it can get out.
Anytime there's a Cat 5 cable attached to your computer, it's all fair game,
Right.
Josh would probably tell us that if he were here. Yeah.
But anyway, the short version of the story is that Facebook can now create a photo album and then invite up to 100 friends to visit the album, and they can upload their photos and share it with
those people.
Yes. With those people.
Now that's my question. Is it only 100 people can view the album, or 100 people can collaborate on the album, and then it's visible to the public or whoever?
Well, there are limitations in that there's not a whole lot of granularity. So,
I see.
So the person who creates it can either make the thing public or can make it only visible to those people who are there, or can make it visible to friends of friends.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say like, okay, I've got one picture that I want to be only for these people, one picture public.
Right.
So you kind of have to get on board with whatever the person who established the album says.
I see.
Yeah.
So is this useful? I would have to ask. Is this I think it could be good for I know like when Father Ryan and I go on vacation, I have my iPhone, he has his. And oftentimes you like to collaborate photos. So rather than having to upload them to Dropbox and then me picking the ones I want to put on my Facebook page and him picking the ones, it could be useful for that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I'm seeing like the pilgrimage could be useful, or a small retreat or a small event where there were few enough people where you could add everyone, a family reunion. Even memes, like if you wanted to share resources like in my office and collaborate and things like that. And then, of course, I think there are non-photo resources like logos or religious images or stock that you could share that way, where it might be helpful just to be able to kind of have easy access to it, because sharing within Facebook is easier than sharing something to Facebook from the outside.
Now you speak in my language.
Yeah, and as we learned a couple of weeks ago with the Getty images, you can even...
Yeah, you can have some of those.
Add them to your album if you want to.
That's very true. Yeah, I like the idea of having a retreat or event. If you think about some of our diocesan events that young people go to, they're putting stuff all over their personal Facebook pages. Mm-hmm. Well, it might be appropriate to have something like that on a diocesan Facebook page for the Office of Youth Ministry or something like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because the young people, they have good eyes. They can take some good pictures.
And they get to places where I don't.
Right.
On those events, I'm like, I didn't even see that happen.
Right.
And they're like, well, yeah, we were just hanging out and this came about. And
that also means
if you did have a small team of people who you wanted to be collaborators, that would be incredibly useful to make the gallery public.
The faux team.
Your photos or whatever, and you have your 24 people who are great at photography, and then you keep out the one guy who can't take a straight photo to save his life, and you're like, bam, photo gallery.
That's right. So there are a few limitations, right? There's no you have to have 100 people, up to 100 people submitting the photos. Nobody that's a stranger can submit them.
Right, it's no free for all, and there's not any good way to granulate, as I said, the photos, but there's also no good way to monetize the situation.
Right.
And sometimes, especially with business, that's really helpful to be able to monetize it or have a contest or something like that. And there's no helpful way to do that.
Yeah. So, all in all, yeah or meh? Jeff?
Yeah, definitely. I will say, because it's kind of along the same lines, I've noticed that the last few times that I take pictures of audio gear in the back of racks and stuff like that for my own personal reference. But they're always, when I go to the Google Plus, it says, hey, these photos are ready to share. And it's like, I don't want to share them.
So if I wanted to share, I might have told you.
But I do like the album thing. I do, yeah.
Yeah. TMR1013, always a chatter box in our chat room, says, I do. My sophomore year album is filled with pics from World Youth Day, Dawson Youth Conference, and Abbey Fest. So she's already ready to share. And I think that's, for our younger generations, kind of sharing photos is a kind of like an extension of your arm. Mm-hmm.
They're a boundary-free generation.
They are a boundary-free generation. Odd that Facebook would put boundaries on this photo sharing, but I think it's a great idea as well, especially as you say, Father, for the sharing of things that are useful intra-office. I like that idea.
I think for teamwork, where it's going to be as a team that's going to then do something for another group, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm kind of a Monty Python. Where it's not really a game changer, but it's a logical and it could be a very potentially useful feature.
Yeah. Exactly. Kathleen, you're going to use this feature. She's all over it.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that
I just post pictures online. I don't.
They're mostly of your dog.
They really are.
I think it's a worthy.
I
think it's a good idea. I don't know if how often I'll use it, but
it's there.
But it's there. There you go. Good job, Facebook.
Way to go, FB. Yeah.
From the Catholic underground.
All right, Jane Austen is on the tenor, but if a new article from Father Dwight Longenecker is true, J.R.R. Tolkien would not be impressed. Father Ryan, it seems like the Lord of the Rings author is making some waves, and Father Longenecker is pointing them out.
Yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien was not uncritical of English literature. He was, in fact, a very, very discerning mind. And Father Longenecker has an article about how Tolkien was no fan of C.S. Lewis's Narnia Chronicles.
Oh, yeah.
The cause, apparently, was that Tolkien hated simplistic literature.
So Dr. Seuss would have been kind of persona non grata for him.
He would have gotten pipe smoke blown in his face.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Tolkien has written many times about how he hated allegory. He hated stories that didn't know what they wanted to say. And so when you see a story about a lion who is also a messiah, and then Father Christmas is there, and there's a satyr and a talking beaver, you really kind of go, does Lewis knows what he's talking about, or is he just making up creatures that are funny looking?
So
Mary Kate Taylor is our literary critic. She could probably respond to that. What do you think, Mary Kate?
Well, I think that Tolkien is a genius, so he's exhibiting a little bit of hubris here. Because, first of all, The Lord of the Rings was attempting to create a Christian mythology for England.
Yeah.
So are we not kind of using allegory to some extent within The Lord of the Rings by its very nature?
But he fought vigorously about it not being an allegory. He was adamant about it.
But he's wrong, because everything in life is sacramental and signs, and is bringing us into a deeper realization of our human condition. I mean, Christ himself, the first great person to use parables to tell a story about human truth.
Somebody might have had to say at that point, yeah, really, a talking tree, honestly. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. So anyway, Father, I just sidelined your whole discussion.
Well, no, I mean, it's a good discussion. Mary Kate and I would disagree, and that's okay. But with our discussion last week about Common Core educational standards and the devaluation of literature, it might be, I think, a good time for us to discuss just what Catholics think and why Catholics care about fiction.
Yeah. And fiction is very important. I mean, it has certain things that it does, right? Fiction isn't just something to help us escape, but it actually does have a literary reason for being there.
Well, right, and I think I'll mention my thoughts and let Mary Kate add some of her own. Well, what does fiction do? Well, first, it puts us in the head of somebody else. So it lets me get in the brain, in the mind of somebody else, whether that's Odysseus or whether that's Miss Bennet or whether that's Romeo and Juliet. It puts me in somebody else's brain, and so it teaches me how to think. Mm-hmm. It shows me how they think, rightly or wrongly, and allows me to kind of say, well, this is the right or wrong way to understand and to think about things.
Yeah.
It also allows me to see the consequences of choices and actions and specific intentions, which is hugely important to understanding how we make decisions in the world. And also, it reveals motive and meaning. In that, if I'm trying to understand why, Big Harry Potter feels like he's got to go up against Voldemort, I'm able, by literature and by fiction in particular, to be able to see the consequences and the motives behind things that'll never happen in the real world.
Yeah, exactly. Mary Kate, do you have anything that you would add to that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's making a great point. I think that through fiction we find truths about the human condition and kind of conserving morality about ourselves.
Which again, you make the example of parable. I mean, right. Jesus was using essentially fiction to show something that was non-fictional.
Exactly.
And you were able to get into the head of the king who had the servants, or you were able to get into the head of the prodigal son. And in so doing, fiction has that great ability to kind of remove you from reality, but only just so that you can see reality.
Exactly.
That's one of the things I love about fiction. I don't know where I would be without it. In fact, I think, Father, you say that it teaches us how to think rightly or wrongly. That is one of the most valuable things I have found in my reading of fiction, is because I'm in the brain of somebody else and I'm reading in their voice, I can say, that's a bad idea. I wouldn't do that at all. Or maybe I need to be incorporating that into my life.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the Inklings, Chesterton and Lewis and Tolkien, the three most important, were adamant that the youth learn by fiction. They were adamant that that's how you learn. And in fact, most of them were already fairly serious thinkers long before they studied anything that resembled philosophy.
Mm-hmm. So you mean to tell me, Father Ryan, that there is a purpose behind the summer reading list?
Well, nowadays I'm not sure. Some of the garbage that comes out of the Newbery and Caldecott, lists doesn't really have a whole lot to contribute to anything. Yeah. But if you look at some of the great pieces of literature in the Western tradition, like Pride and Prejudice, where you see, this is the folly of pride, and this is the error of snap judgment, and you look inside and you see this is the sacrificial nature of love, and that we can never really overcome our human nature. We can merely shape and mold it. Or even if you go to the Hunger Games, this is the mind of the tragic hero. Katniss Everdeen is the tragic hero, and she shows us the meaning of hope and perseverance even when it seems like everything is lost, and she shows us what goes on behind the stiff upper lip. Or if you go Romeo and Juliet or The Lord of the Rings or 100 other books, great literature teaches us philosophy. It teaches us how to think. And as we talked about last week, one of the tragedies of Common Core is its hatred of real, beautiful classical literature.
Yeah.
And it's extremely important for Catholics nowadays to insist that our kids read.
Yeah.
Because movies can do some things, but you really need that week or two that you have to spend with Katniss Everdeen to get the philosophy out of the Hunger Games. You need that month or two you got to spend with Harry Potter. You need those 6 or 8 or 10 hours you spend with Jane Austen when you're reading Sense and Sensibility to really get just how bad. When sensibility is the king, just how bad it is, and how important it is that sense overtake it. You need those hours of time to really dig in.
And that's what I find interesting, that, as you say, movies cannot do. With a movie, you're always essentially second person, right? It's an I to a you. Even if there's inner monologue or things of that nature, you're never actually existing as a brain cell in the person's brain. That's the thing I really appreciate about fiction is, obviously it can be written as third person omniscient and that sort of thing, but I know a lot of the books that I've enjoyed, you're actually in the main character's brain. You're thinking the things that he or she is thinking, and then they're saying things that are part of their dialogue. But at the same time, you're kind of functioning as a secondary brain in yourself, right? It's like the infinite Will Wheaton. It's really beautiful to think about, and a little strange and crazy.
Well, that's why I think that some movies that are made from books don't go over so well.
Yeah,
because you don't get
you can't get in the brain.
You can't get that insider, and there's so much missing.
Right.
So I think that's why a lot of books that are made into movies just fail horribly.
Mm-hmm. Which is also perhaps why a lot of comic book based movies do so well.
That's actually a really great point.
Is because many comic book movies, because graphic novel is a completely different type of genre, you're always kind of like in a movie, you're I to thou, and so those translate really well, and you can watch them passively because the inner monologue is being splayed out before you.
Yeah.
Whereas fiction books that have no pictures attached to them other than the ones in your head, unless you can figure out a way to translate what's going on in the character, you can't really properly. That's one of the things that I do appreciate about movies that have the ability to say, man, you nailed that character, and I felt like that's exactly what I pictured in my brain. Father, you were going to say?
No, I was just going to reference that one of the most important authors in literary history is Shakespeare.
Yes.
And one of the most important tools, in fact, one he basically invented, is the soliloquy, the private dialogue, where a person is talking to themselves, basically.
The aside.
He's explaining what's going on in the mind. It's an inner monologue, but of course it's a stage play, so it's got to be said out loud. And that's one of the reasons that Shakespeare is one of the most important philosophers in the Western tradition, is because he does take a moment to get you inside Hamlet's head and to get you inside the head of all these different characters and let you know just what's going on.
Yeah.
When the pound of flesh must be had. Why? Tell me about this obsessive, destructive need you have.
Right. And so we can understand both good and evil through the use of good fiction. I mean, there have been some master villains that have been spun in fiction. In fact, I think about one of my favorite books that's a recent book, Father Elijah, and of course that's one of your favorites too, Father Ryan.
Absolutely. Mine, actually.
And also Mary Kate. I would recommend it to Jeff and to Kathleen. But there's a character in Father Elijah that is a villain that gets spun out in another book that Michael O'Brien wrote. Who's this? He's a count. He's just this snivelly, weaselly old man who has basically used people for his own. And you really get inside the brain of this guy, and you feel, just in reading his dialogue, you feel how empty and hollow he has become. And only fiction can really allow you to respond to that and go, okay, now how am I using people? Am I becoming a shell of a person because of this, that, or the other? And that's really something that only good literature can do, right, Father?
No, it absolutely is. I mean, one of the things that's happened in the last 50 years as movies have become more prevalent is that we've lost the ability to take a moment where you have that epiphany and you go, there's a lot of this guy in me.
Yeah.
And that's scary. Or there's a lot of this guy in me and that's spectacular. Or why can't I do what that hero just did?
Yeah.
And all of those things are just such an important part of fiction. And for my money, the single most important thing we teach kids in school is fiction. It's literature.
Yeah.
And it makes me very, very sad that we seem to have this just kind of rejection of, well, I just have better things to do than read fiction.
Yeah, and it's such an important component of being able to build a basis for understanding nonfiction, right?
Right. I think parents, too, though, have to be very honest with themselves and say if it has Newbery or Caldecott, that doesn't mean it's good. If it's on the advanced reader or whatever other godforsaken reading program there is, it doesn't mean it's any good at all. I mean, there's a lot of tripe out there. And so finding the great books of the Western tradition and a handful of new ones that have turned out to be really good is absolutely essential.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if maybe we would say to the parents, get out there and read yourselves. Read some good fiction. And I would dare say, read some of your children's fiction, right? Some of their summer reading stuff. Be a good tester and see whether or not this is something that would edify you. Because really, good fiction does not have an age group attached to it.
It's very true.
Very true. I mean, there's some books that, Lord of the Flies, I think we were probably reading that in middle school. It's, as an adult, I love that book. Because it actually points towards what goes on in the minds of adults who happen to be children,
Yeah, not as a parent, but as a big sister, a lot of the good fiction books that I like, they might not be good, but that I chose to read because my little sister was reading them, and I wanted to make sure that they were on the up and up. Yeah. And I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah. In the chat room, one of our users says, speaking of Will Wheaton, that's a great segue. I recently listened to an audiobook called Ready Player One, narrated by him. The book is told from a first-person perspective and really does immerse you almost against your will into the mind of the main character. I've heard about this book. I may have to give it a listen.
Well, really great biography kind of reads like fiction because it's narrative, and it has the same value as fiction. In that it puts you inside. When I read the Isaacson book about Jobs, Steve Jobs, I found myself just really being taken away and saying, what is it about this guy? How did it work? What's going on?
Yeah.
And you kind of was able to put yourself in the head of a guy who was a fruitarian for 2 weeks.
Right.
You go, that's wackadoo, but at the same time, it actually puts you inside the mind of a guy and you say, what does it take to be a business great?
Right.
And it's fascinating.
And still be a little crazy.
Oh, yeah. More than a little.
G.K. Chesterton said that literature is a luxury, but fiction is a necessity. And I love fiction because it's only the fiction book that can give my brain a sandbox to look at reality. And it's almost like radio. You can do it completely anonymously. Mm-hmm. You can play with all this stuff in your head while you've got a book in your hand, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, well, very, very good. Well, speaking of fiction, it turns out that Pope Benedict did not retire because of a mystical experience. Now, Father, there was a rumor going around for a while that Pope Benedict had a mystical experience, and I think it was based supposedly upon a quote that the Pope Emeritus said that God told him it was time to retire.
And it's one of those things where Rome loves a good rumor.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't know where it came from, but Archbishop George Ganjwein, I don't know how to speak that guy's name, but he said, "quote It was invented from the Alpha and the Omega," and that's my
your
German accent, but basically, yeah, it was entirely fictional. The Pope did not, have a saint appear to him and tell him to leave the papacy or anything like that. And in fact, he's never really spoken about his motives, and so I guess we're just going to have to wait for him to speak up, or we can, I guess, ask St. Peter on Judgment Day.
That's right.
One of the questions I have.
While it wasn't a mystical experience, according to this, it's worth saying that good discernment is always mystical.
Yeah.
Good discernment always involves with it a bit of mystery, because the Lord is inviting you into a deeper relationship with Himself. And for all of us here who have had to discern things of one kind or another, it's very obvious that when we discern, the Lord is always inviting us somewhere. And we can take a step and be pretty sure, but there's always a little tinge of that relationship that is ready to be unraveled and revealed. And so I would imagine that, though it may not have been absolutely mystical, the Holy Father, I would dare say, is a good discerner of his own will. I would hope that the Pope can discern. So speaking of discernment, the Knights of Columbus founder, Father Michael McGivney's cause for canonization is in fact moving forward with the official discernment engine of the Roman Catholic Church. And I love the idea of a discernment engine. Take that, Charles Babbage. In fact, there it is now. So right now, Father McGivney has moved forward. He is venerable. Michael J. McGivney. And that's right before blessed, I believe, correct?
Yes, you can be venerable or servant of God. They're the same thing. And that is an evaluation of you have good character and everybody has testified well and you're a super fun guy and you had a good haircut and you were polite to sweet old ladies.
Like Jeff. Jeff has a new haircut. And it's,
Jeff?
Yeah. He's well on his way to being a servant of God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Loving it.
He's combing it to the side now, like a 50s radio announcer.
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to spike it up.
Not going to happen. No.
I do have some of that stuff.
McGivney had this same haircut.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. Sorry, Father.
No. And so after he was declared servant of God, then we're waiting on a miracle. Well, a miracle is currently being investigated. And if things come back well, then he will be a beati, or a blessed.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, after that, the second miracle would be required. Now, we've had all sorts of things being waved back and forth, but usually there's a second miracle. It's legitimized, and then he would be, as we say, raised to the dignity of the altar, which means that he would be proclaimed a saint. And interestingly enough, as you remember from your reading, Jeff Blackwell, whenever someone is raised to the dignity of the altar, and we call them a saint because of that, it's a reminder to us of the early church in which Mass would be celebrated on top of the tombs of the saints who had died, especially of the martyrs. And so this idea of placing a relic inside of an altar comes from this idea that whenever we celebrate the Mass, we do it in direct continuity with those who have gone before us, marked with the sign of faith. And so one of the clever ways that we say that somebody is made a saint is we say they are raised to the dignity of the altar. And that's why when you go to Rome, a lot of those saints and blesseds are actually right underneath the altar stone. And so you can see, in many cases, their whole body. And so it's really, really cool. Jeff, we're going to have to get you to Rome.
I know. We've got to go. I don't know what you're doing next Tuesday, but...
Hey, it's a slow week.
No, definitely. That's one of my on my bucket list. I definitely want to go to Rome.
That's right. And so the way that we help that out, Father, is by asking for his intercession now, right?
Yes, absolutely. We can certainly pray, and we can certainly ask the Lord through Father McGivney to send blessings upon any of our efforts or upon our health issues or anything like that at all.
That's right. And maybe, Father Ryan, we can have him bless your beer making festivities. Do you do that in your rectory?
I've got 2 batches running right now. One is a special for St. Patrick's Church in Faraday, Louisiana, where they have asked for special brew in honor of St. Patrick's Day, which is still a good ways off, but I wanted to do a test brew first to make sure it's going to be delicious.
But of course.
And apparently the Abbey-style brewing is back in the U.S.
It absolutely is. Abbey-style brewing is taking off, not just in the U.S., but around the world.
Yeah.
where monks in particular, but also other people are looking to recover what makes things like Chimay and all those kinds of beers so fantastic.
Yes. I was having a discussion with somebody yesterday after a baptism. Somebody handed me a little libation to drink at the family's house afterwards, and one of the little girls in the family said, "Oh, but you're a priest." I said, "Dear, I am a priest, and we invented alcohol."
Love it.
But that's true. There's a venerable tradition of monastics preserving grain through fermenting it. And that's where we get this so-called bread in a bottle, right?
That's right. I mean, technically the first beer comes from the Egyptians, but it was basically some kind of foul water with, it just wasn't pleasant.
That's what it was called.
That's right. The idea of carbonating beer came much, much later, and that was generally considered, it was the monks who were trying to preserve grain and did that by the process of fermentation, a perfectly reasonable way, like pickling grain, and it's yummy.
Oh, yes, and, might I add, fat-free.
That's true.
I'm not sure about that.
It's not only good, it's good for you in moderate amounts.
Of course.
Yeah, so eventually it began to taste really good, huh? They began to perfect that, and so a lot of those same recipes and things like that are coming back. So would we say this is an art form to be a beer maker?
I think it definitely is an art form. I mean, I've had homebrewed beer that did not work well, and it's rancid. And I've also had, like down the Abbey ales and things like that in that tradition.
Yeah.
And I've actually got, for Labor Day tomorrow, I'm having a big to-do at my house, and I've got 6 different versions of Abbey brewed ales from around the world that I'm going to be serving. I'm excited.
Hey, Father Chris?
Yeah.
Can we go to Natchitoches?
Yeah, I think we could.
Should. Yeah.
Before we hit
I've been
Rome.
dry aging steaks for the last week. So
delicious.
Word.
You just said Jeff's favorite word, steak.
Dry aged.
Yeah, dry aged at that, yeah.
My.
So, Kathleen, are you a beer drinker?
I am not.
No?
My dad is a beer drinker, and I take after my mom, who is not at all. I make a involuntary face every time I drink it.
Oh, right. You just kind of scrunch
She's
up
a
like
teetotaler.
And I like it. I like to sit around with people and have a beer, but it always takes me 4 hours to drink just one.
Oh, so you nurse the beverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Kate, do you enjoy a good libation?
I enjoy a good libation. I like what Father Ryan is saying about the kind of whole art form of it. It's definitely really cool that all of that goes into it. So.
Yeah, I know here in South Louisiana, we have an actual Abbey ale that is made by one of our local microbreweries. Abita Brewery makes Abbey ale, and a portion of the proceeds from each bottle goes back to the Abbey.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's definitely got a little zing to it at the end there. It's good though. It's a very it's an ale style beer, so it's really really good. So we move from beer to not that.
Yeah, that one.
The CU Pick of the Week.
Which is also a level 12 geek alert.
It could be. Yeah.
Tell you what, man, oh man, Kathleen is totally a geek. So why don't we go to you first?
I geek out when this show comes on. My pick of the week is Duck Dynasty.
Ah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it is. Okay.
People around the United States are watching this show and they're calling me and they're saying, "Is it really like that where you live, Father?"
Yes, it is.
It kind of be.
This is a family, a Christian family out of West Monroe, Louisiana. So I believe West Monroe is north.
It's east of Father Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like the northeastern part of Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
All I know is that when my brother used to play football, we used to travel up there, and
it's also a suburb of Monroe, Louisiana.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
West Monroe.
So they actually have a duck call making business. And this is a reality show that comes on every Wednesday night on A&E. And at first I was like, oh, no.
They're just going to lampoon.
And they are ridiculously funny. They are super Jesus-y. They love Jesus. They have good morals, good values. It's a clean show.
And this is on cable television.
It's on cable television.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is they don't need the money, because their empire is huge.
They have a dynasty.
It's a dynasty,
Exactly.
for crying out loud.
Imperial.
And so they really enjoy just being on TV and being funny. And I learned recently, they end each show with a family meal and a family prayer. And I learned just recently that they were asked not to do that, and they said, No.
Yeah, you want us.
They were like, sorry, this is how we.
It's part of the deal.
And I've heard them speak on things like abstinence and abortion and the importance of prayer in the family. They've been on K-Love talking about just how they're like, this is it. What you see on TV is it. And they're ridiculous, and it's funny, and I enjoyed every week.
Mm-hmm. And that's a fact, Jack.
That is a fact, Jack.
Gee, I think somebody else watches that show.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh, there was a quick story about one of the main characters, and I'm sorry, I really haven't watched it, but he was in a hotel. He was in New York to do some interviews.
Jace. Mm-hmm.
Jace, okay. And he was in the lobby and asked the bellman, where's the bathroom? And the guy said, follow me. Took him outside and pointed down the street, and he says, down there. Thought he was a bum.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyway.
And he was staying at the hotel. He was a guest of the hotel. And he took it in stride. He was like, well, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
My goodness.
They're great.
I guess I'm going to have to break down and watch the show.
Yeah.
Just one episode, you'll be hooked.
It's
you
so
think?
funny. And it's, I mean, if you don't like latch onto it, it's at least good for a good chuckle. It's funny.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. I'm game. Mary Kate, you actually have a pick of the week for someone who has gone to the Lord.
I do. I have it for Seamus Heaney. He was considered the great Yeats of our time. Yep. He was the great Irish poet and translator and writer, and he passed away on August 30th. Mm-hmm. And I actually had a great quote by him that kind of sums up some of the things we're talking about regarding fiction. He said that poetry's power is to do the thing which always is and always will be, the power to persuade that vulnerable part of our consciousness of its rightness in spite of the evidence of wrongness, the power to remind us that we are hunters and gatherers of values, and that our very solitudes and distresses are creditable. And I thought that was just a beautiful depiction of the human experience through literature and the power it has to bring us truth.
Yeah, wow. I actually can't say that I've read very much of Seamus Heaney, but so would you recommend anything in particular, or just anything you can get your hands on?
I mean, I think for the person who just hasn't read it, just to look up any number of his poems. It's very interesting historically that he had gone through a lot of the troubles of Ireland. But one of them that I loved, it's called Postscript, and it's just talking about his experience going through County Clare, and it's just a beautiful sort of that sort of passing of the human person into their understanding of mortality and their relationship with life and death, and it's just very beautiful.
How very appropriate to mark his passing, I would
Indeed,
say.
yeah.
Very cool. Seamus Heaney for Mary Kate. And Jeff Blackwell, you.
Actually, there's an article from this month's St. Anthony Messenger on, I don't know what's happening to my screen. It keeps moving here. But for you Gone with the Wind fans, Margaret Mitchell, who was the author of the novel, is the subject of an article in St. Anthony Messenger. And it really is a fascinating article. It's not very long, and I have the link in the show notes, which you can find at catholicunderground.tv. And it just so happens that the Mitchell estate, she was very Catholic. Her mother was extremely religious and a woman of faith. And I didn't realize that there were a lot of, because I've never read the novel, I've only seen the movie.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of mentions of Catholicity within the novel itself. So they wound up giving, the estate left, half of the belongings to the Archdiocese of Atlanta. So it tells you where her heart was. So it's a great article.
Excellent. It's a great pick of the week. I love that book. That's an awesome pick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have never read the book either. But is there a lot of Catholic sensibility in it?
Well, there definitely is. It's very interesting because she writes about the Catholic conscience that the main character, Scarlett, actually has, in spite of things that she's doing that is wrong. That she has a Catholic conscience that's been formed, which shows us that I think as Catholics, we sort of have an inherited truth from the sacraments and from the immersion of them. And so that was always fascinating to me. And her mother is a beautiful depiction of Catholic devotion as well. So that's a great pick, Jeff.
Gave me goosebumps there. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, those who of their own volition leave the Catholic Church, who just because I wear what I wear around my neck, they often feel compelled to confess, and oftentimes they will say, "Well, I'm not going to church anymore." But I'll tell you that I still have the same. They call it Catholic guilt. I said, "Oh, you mean your conscience?" And I think you're right, Mary Kate, that that even though somebody may be struggling in their faith walk, if they've been brought up, certainly by their parents in the faith, if they've been nourished by the sacraments, your conscience is going to get good formation. And so I would dare say that it's usually those sorts of things that begin to bring people back to the church. And it's not just kind of what our society or what Sigmund Freud would say is just, that's just guilt. Just get rid of it. It's not useful.
Right.
But yeah, as you can see with something like Gone with the Wind, it was her Catholic guilt that was constantly causing her to reflect, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Jeff, man, that was
a great pick.
Yeah.
Well,
you've won the esteem of Mary Kate Taylor. What are you going to do next?
Touched my heart. I don't know what to say.
He's just going to sit there. It's okay. Father Ryan.
My recommendation this week is Dash. DASH. The website is dash.buy. It's like the Nike Fuel Band for your car.
Oh.
So it's a dongle that you plug into the port on your car that your service professional would use. And so it can get all that data out that your service professional could get, like your engine alerts and what's going on with your fuel mixture and all that kind of stuff. But it can also push into your computer of your car and activate the headlights or unlock the car or start the car.
That's really cool.
If you get in a wreck, it can alert 911 or it can text people that you love. It can do all kinds of really snazzy kind of stuff. And also it gamifies good driving. So if you want to not be so heavy on the brakes or so heavy on the gas, it'll gamify that and give you a score at the end of the week. It'll also keep up with all the directions you've gone. And if a parent were to basically, solder the thing into the car, then they could be able to tell how fast the child was going at any one moment.
Wow.
So it's a super neat thing. There's another company called Automatic who's trying to do the same thing, but it looks like Dash is going to beat them to the punch. The link to both Dash and Automatic are in the show notes.
I'm totally putting my email in to sign up for the beta. I think this is a great idea. One of the things that I like about it is I've always wanted to know what's going on inside my car's computer.
Yeah.
Now
and this will let you reset the engine alert if it's something stupid. So you don't have to go pay $150 to get them to reset it for you.
Awesome.
The check engine light.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very, very cool indeed. Well, my pick of the week is a book that I have used very well, and it's called Sound Reporting, the NPR Guide to Audio Journalism and Reporting. Now, whether you're an NPR fan or not, this is a really good book, because if you're thinking about podcasting, if you're thinking about getting involved with some form of audio apostolate, to really see how it's done and done well, the only other book that I would like to read is one done by the BBC. But since they haven't written one, NPR has this one on how to put together a story, on what it means to news gather, on how to get what they call actualities, on to get audio sources. And so this is a book that I kind of keep on my shelf for ready reference, and I offer it to you as well. Sound Reporting, the NPR Guide to Audio Journalism and Production by Jonathan Kern. If you go to our show notes, you can click on the Amazon link there that's on our website. And so, yeah.
I wanted to just say real quick, like that portions of the Catholic Underground are brought to you by audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground. That's audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground.
That's right, for the show notes that accompany this episode and the podcast. And if you want to find out more about our apostolate, if you want to find out ways to connect with us on Twitter or on Facebook, you can head over to CatholicUnderground.com to do that. And as always, we thank you very much for your prayers for our apostolate, and we thank all of our benefactors who keep us pumping. Father Ryan's church is online at minorbasilica.org, and he's at FR Humphreys on Twitter. Thank you, Father Ryan, for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
Jeff Blackwell is the tech director for the CU, and he has 2 dogs at the Blackwell Communications Group, jeffblackwell.us, and he's on Twitter at jeffblackwellus. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us.
It's a privilege, Father.
Yes, indeed. Kathleen Lee is our faith ninja, and she maintains her Twitter handle, which is at KathleenYABR. And there you are. Thanks, Kathleen.
There I am.
Mary Kate Taylor is an evangelist, and in her spare time, she knits together ancient tapestries into very large graphic novels. Thank you, Mary Kate. You know me. I'm Father Chris Decker. You can follow me on Twitter at Digital Catholic. Join us on the interwebs for the See You Later at CatholicUnderground.tv for even more. Thanks for tuning in and hanging with us on the digital continent. We're Catholic Underground. We're Faith Gone Digital, and we will see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.
Alrighty. righty, well, it's the See You Later. I'm Father Chris Decker. Alongside of me, we got Kathleen Lee right there.
Hi.
Mary Kay Taylor.
Hi.
Just fresh from a cough. Yeah. Jeff Blackwell.
Hi.
Just going around the room. And Father Ryan Humphreys.
Yo.
Oh, man.
Right, yeah.
Combo breaker.
He's always a combo breaker. He's always that guy, that doesn't do the move on the joystick for the final kill of the.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, he's that.
You totally that guy.
The original.
Who's that guy? It's Father Ryan. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Father. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
This is the See You Later.
Sorry about
you
that.
totally can do that.
I was going to say, Father Ryan, I don't think we're disagreeing as much as you think about the whole thing about the Narnia and Tolkien. But I want to hear what you have to say about how he defended it not being allegorical, because that just is fascinating to me. I just wanted to hear what you had to say about it.
Well, allegory implies a one-to-one relationship, so there's a clear sense that this represents that and that represents this. And while there are certainly some things within Lord of the Rings that do have a very, very clear connection, Tolkien wrote several essays and gave a lot of interviews and said it is not allegory, because what this is it's an entire mythology. And so he did not want anyone to look at the ring and say that's the bomb or that is evil itself, or he didn't want anyone to look at Waybread and say that's the Eucharist, or he didn't want everyone to look at Galadriel and say that she's an angel, or anything like that at all. Now, clearly, the Grey Havens kind of thing is an allegory for death in heaven, but the entire book itself is not an allegory. And yes, I mean, I think it's compelling.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that it does not. I understand that he wouldn't want all of the different people to go crazy with the allegory, but by its very nature, is not myth a sacred truth in and of itself, and so the people within myth are symbols of something.
Undoubtedly, I mean, you could describe them as allegorical in that they do point to things beyond themselves, and analogical as well. But I think that his concern with Narnia has to be that it's not that there's not a one-to-one, it's that it doesn't have any real basis and grounding at all. It's a children's story, and so it doesn't have to. You don't have to explain why there's a talking beaver and a satyr in the same story.
But doesn't, by the very nature of children's stories, have within it great truth? I mean, did not Christ... Well, not all, but I mean, didn't...
Right.
I mean, not all of them, but I guess what I'm saying is that, to me, I was just surprised that he would have that much criticism of it, which I actually already knew that, but I'd always have questioned it, so I just was interested in hearing what you had to say about it, because it was questioned why Tolkien was so critical of Narnia.
Well, it could have been the fact that Tolkien was just really critical.
Yeah, I think he was of everything. He always didn't like The Hobbit. He never liked the story of The Hobbit because it was focused on children. He hated focusing a story for children.
Blah, blah, blah.
Well, God likes children. Yeah. Fatima.
Well, I don't like Narnia for exactly that reason. I mean, it's the story itself is fine and compelling, but I mean, I just don't care for children's stories, and I never have.
Well, then.
Well,
even when I was a kid, we'd read the Bernstein Bears, and I would kind of be upset about the simplistic structure of the whole thing.
This storyline is completely implausible.
Of course, Father Ryan was reading when he, came home from the hospital. So
he was actually. His Greek lexicon is well thumbed from his first 4 weeks of life. And gum. Yeah.
Yes, you might be overestimating my intellectual prowess, but.
No, I've seen you teethe on the Book of Revelation.
I was always very serious. My mom was very, very sick most of the time when I was a younger man, so I was very, very serious, and I never could abide, with things that seemed too puerile.
Like Woody Allen movies.
That French artistic renaissance was just not up to my standard.
That's right.
That's great.
Yeah. What can I say? I enjoyed the Berenstain Bears books because
I thought there was great symbolism.
Well, besides all the beautiful, I always love the art in the Berenstain Bears book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I really love the art. Of course, I learned all the the morals of the story and everything, but the art was really cool. That's what I remember.
I always like in those books in the art, just the random things that were. If they were talking about picking up their toys, the random toys that would just be, there. Mm-hmm. Or I always picked up on the subtle things.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite, I can't believe we're going here. One of my favorite comic book series, actually the first one that I ever got involved with, it was not X-Men or Superman or anything. It was Uncle Scrooge. because I was a big DuckTales fan in my day. And Uncle Scrooge, of course, was the character invented by Carl Barks in, I believe, 1946. And originally, Uncle Scrooge was a bad guy. And Don Rosa, who is my favorite comic book author of all time, wrote The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. I think it was like I don't know if it was a 12 or a 24-parter. It was this huge lexicon. I used lexicon earlier. It was this huge compendium of Scrooge McDuck's life. And it's beautifully drawn. But the thing that Don Rosa does, and he says that he has the ability to do this because he doesn't really know how to draw well, but he would make his panels all so busy, and so there would be like 3 or 4 stories happening in the background while the dialogue was happening in the foreground. And I love that level of detail, and so maybe that's what I liked about the Berenstein Bears books.
Yeah.
Because even to some degree, Dr. Seuss's books that were illustrated had some of that kind of stuff going on, even though it was the art was simplistic. It still had a very whimsical way about it.
Most definitely. I always found it disturbing with whenever you would have like an animal cartoon world, but they had pets that were animals. Does anyone ever find that disturbing? I never understood that.
It's creepy.
I won't watch Cars or Planes for that reason. I don't think that that's normal. For cars to be riding a bus, that's not normal.
That's bizarre.
No. If I were a plane, I wouldn't get takeout.
Nope. No.
I'd need some oil, or I wouldn't do that.
Well, that's what they drink in cars is oil.
Is that right?
That's cool.
Yeah, because the hippie bus, the Crombie has he has his own homemade version of oil that everybody kind of gets tipsy on.
Well, I'm sure he has homemade versions of a lot of things. So.
Right. Exactly. Oh, thank you.
Oh, by the way, Father,
that's not brake fluid.
I told you, and I don't know how many of you know, but for probably 10 or 12 years, I was the recording engineer for Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, how awesome is that?
I'll have to tell my sister that.
You will love this. Go to scottneely.com because this guy does cartoons, and in fact, he designed a logo, a character, like a bear with a cape for Mickey Abear, our friend Mickey Abear. For his AV business. But anyway, scottneely.com. That's Neely.
Yeah, it's going to take me a minute.
But he's got all kinds of stuff on there. You'll love it. And he does work for DC Comics.
How cool is this?
Yeah, he's real neat guy. You'll enjoy that.
Does some Cat in the Hat stuff. He did Alfie. Very cool.
Scott's a good guy too.
I was obsessed with Scooby-Doo as a young man. I don't know why, but it was absolutely my favorite. Yeah. It was the absurdity of the way they would run, where their legs would turn into those weird wheel things.
Me and my sister were as well. We just adored it.
Well, I got to tell you, the talent director, I got to know her pretty well. She's a lovely Christian woman, and she had lost a child to leukemia, and she's she's really just grounded in faith, and we got to be pretty close friends. Colette Sunderman, she's adorable. I love her. So anyway, it's interesting because she worked for Hanna-Barbera for a lot of years before they were bought up by Warner Brothers. And it's like Scooby, they'd have a line for Scooby to say, and they go, oh no, Scooby would never say it that way. he wouldn't say that. And in fact, she was talking about, was it Joe Barbera that would said, it's a dog. He doesn't talk. He's not supposed to talk. But now they, have been saying all kinds of stuff. But as far as the emotions, the characters, and stuff like that, her ability to be able to tell, tell like an actor to say, "Oh, you can't say it that way. You need to say it this way."
Yeah, absolutely.
Rudy.
Yeah, there you go. Or, I don't know.
Anyway, I just threw that out for what it was.
That's great. I loved Scooby-Doo growing up. I loved it.
I was a big fan.
Oh no!
That's the Scott Ennis collection.
Yeah, Scott was the voice actor I worked with, and he does a ton of voices. Popeye. He even does Olive Oyl.
Hey!
That would be Shaggy going.
Shaggy.
Hey,
Yeah, that would be Shaggy.
I think he does Shaggy better than
Scooby.
The original.
The original Casey Kasem. That's actually Kathleen's laugh that they use for Shaggy. Yeah.
Oh my.
It's a feature.
It's true. Well, it's either actually. I think this might be Kathleen because this is.
Careful now.
Let's see.
Keep it holy now.
Oh, we will. It must
just
have
a line
to load.
from Scrubs I liked.
It must have to load because we're on an internet situation here.
It's been Cyloning a lot while we talk.
Oh, has it really? Man, you kept up with the conversation really well.
You did.
I try to be amazing when I can.
Well, that's Father Ryan's way.
Perpetually amazing.
When he's not gumming his Greek lexicon.
I don't generally chew on old paper. I find it's.
I don't like the texture.
Well, you have a refined taste now. That was when you were younger.
I guess.
Now you've moved on.
Now he's moved on to
I
parchments.
try to be at least a little pretentious every day, but not that much.
Hey, speaking of taste, can I throw this out? I had this for a couple of 3 weeks, and there we go.
That's Kathleen, I think.
I don't even know what to go with that.
Yeah. Tilt back a beer.
That's right.
I thought that was the music Kathleen played during tests.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. We can provide that.
They'd be
for
like,
you.
wait, what? Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is happening. Now test.
Anyway, this I never ever watch Comedy Central, but my son said you got to come watch this episode, Dad. You'll like it from a production standpoint.
Yep.
And Drunk History. I don't know if you can find episodes, and they have some that are uncensored, but they bleep them out for the cable TV
For the children.
But it is just so well done. They get people to tell the story about something in history, and they
fly back a couple.
They ply them with alcohol.
No.
These people are falling out. But yet they'll cut to these A-list actors mouthing the words of these drunk people telling the story, and it's just hilarious.
Well, no, Father Ryan and Father Decker, did y'all watch Space Coast to Coast?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very much.
Brilliant show. How about you, Jeff? Did you love that show?
Yes.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love that show. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
They're out there.
Father Chris and I still use a lot of those references day to day.
With blue hair
This
and
the note
eyes
called
of hard
Mail C.
plastic.
This is how it's. In fact, didn't we do that here? Good work.
That's right. Hey, Father Ryan, flush the lake.
We don't have a lake.
Good work. Yeah, you see? Yeah.
I love it.
We've been working together. No, we've been working together so long.
We finish each other's sentences.
Yeah, exactly. You see?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot of our references come back down to that. You know the rules. No fanny pack.
That's right. And basically, Father Ryan's just going to regenerate and go downstairs.
I regenerated and went downstairs.
I own 2 fanny packs, so.
Do you wear them like, gaucho style, Mexican-y
I've never
style?
worn them both at one time. I have a black one, you know.
Did you
for accessorizing?
For when I get fancy.
Every lady has a black fanny pack.
And then I have a pink and yellow neon one. And I'm not ashamed.
Do you have any hipsters approach you and offer to buy it from you?
No, actually, no.
Because they've been doing that at my school.
Oh,
really
they've been fanny packing now?
Apparently it's
That's
very
the
rad.
thing?
And when I was in elementary school, that used to be like the thing, fanny packs. And I used to okay, well, what am I going to put in my fanny pack? I used to carry around all kinds of just ridiculous things.
Sorry.
No.
Kathleen Lee, you've got a fanny pack. Come on down.
You won a new fanny pack.
And we called them butt bags when they first.
I'm going to bid $1, Bob. $1.
He always bids $1.
I hate the guy who always bids $1.
I hate the person who's like, okay, I bid $5.50 and then you bid $5.51. I'm like,
$12.85.
You jerk.
I hate you and everything you stand for.
And it's always the college kid that does that.
Yeah.
Because they can't count. So that's
they don't know what it is to shop for. They don't know what anything's worth.
Right. I don't know what it is on Amazon, so I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about one stick of deodorant. I mean, nobody knows how much that costs anymore.
No kidding.
Per stick.
Like $1, $7. I don't.
Boy, those things have gone up too.
It's like $4, like 3 something or other.
$1.
I know.
I have no idea.
I know because I do love my deodorant.
Yes.
And we thank you for that.
It's a necessity.
Otherwise, there'd be a core breach. We wouldn't want that.
There wouldn't be a coolant leak, everybody. We got a coolant leak.
That's right. Let's get everybody out of here.
Is it the Star Trek hour yet? I just want to
No, we just forayed into it.
I'm leaving if
No,
that.
I don't like Star Trek that much anymore. Father Chris is the only Star Trek fan in the show.
Luckily, Father Ryan
But he controls the sound effects.
I do. So
weird.
Or perhaps you would prefer.
I like the Star Trek effects.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the. Can I come in? Enter.
No, that's actually another alert from engineering.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Sorry.
I don't watch that much Star Trek. I just really don't.
Well, Jeff is in engineering, so.
Jeff is an engineering.
Yes, I am.
That's true. That's right. That's right.
You could really mess with Dave and just put up like a big giant like column behind him, with the moving blue stuff.
I'd love a set. I would love for Jeff to have a set back there. Right now, all he's got is the phone.
All kind of blinking lights and stuff. They don't do anything, but they look good.
Yeah. Do you know in Oh, here we go. Do you know in Star Trek?
You started it, Mary Kate.
She did.
I did on purpose.
There were conduits running through the hallways, and there was a little code on there. In addition to numbers. Okay. Sometimes the numbers would be the shot that they would be in the show or the movie.
Oh, wow.
But they also say GNDN. You think, I wonder what it means. Goes nowhere, does nothing.
Oh, man. That's totally useless.
How many levels in the saucer section of the Enterprise D?
Of the Enterprise D? Oh, golly, it's been so long since I've studied that technical manual. I think... Well, I know there are at least 36 decks on the Enterprise.
Do you know that they used to?
Are there 12? I think they're 12. I know if they're 10, maybe they're 25. I don't know.
Well, what I like to do is I like to go on YouTube and watch whenever the old ones, like the original series, they would make mistakes and do different things, and they taped them.
Yes.
And what was really great is
the blooper reel.
The blooper reel is great. You should watch it. You would probably enjoy it. You're the only one in the room that might enjoy it.
I've seen all of them.
Okay. My favorite is when they run into the door
doors.
That's supposed to open.
Because the doors are actually operated by people.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. By Klingons.
Soylent Green made of people, doors operated by people. Gorn's also green. I'm just saying. I don't know.
The Ustream bot left the show.
Yeah, Ustream bot is done. Yeah. So
I've got no time for
maybe we should be done as well. Let's stick a fork in this episode here. We thank you as always for joining us for the See You Later. It is the Kathleenier, softer, cream cheesier version of our radio show.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the cream cheese that you pour the chutney on top of.
Okay.
Yum.
Yeah, you've never had that sort of situation?
I've never had chutney.
What?
You don't know what you're missing.
Get this woman some chutney. Stat. I'm Father Chris Decker. I usually introduce myself last, but Jeff Blackwell is over there.
Been a pleasure, Father.
Yes, indeed. I like your salute.
Oh, well, that's almost Howie. I don't know.
It's a pretty cool salute.
That's almost the High Commander's salute.
Oh, okay.
From Third Rock from the Sun.
Purely by accident.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nicely done. That might be the lieutenant's one. Anyway, we get Mary Kate Taylor over there.
Yes. Live long and prosper, Father.
That's right. Yes. Peace and long life, I believe, is the rejoinder to that. Kathleen.
I don't. Good die.
Father Ryan Humphreys.
Make it so.
And again, I'm Father Chris Decker. You've joined us for this cavalcade of fools, and we call ourselves the Catholic Underground. And we're here every week. So we'll see you next time.
All right, Father Ryan.
Yes.
We're going to call it officially a wrap.
Word.
Strike the set.
That's right. We do have to strike a set, actually.
All right. Have a good week and a lot of fun tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good week too. We'll catch you later.
All right.
Fare thee well. Bye-bye.
Her body as well. God needed it to fulfill his plan of salvation. For Jesus to become man, he had for 9 months to become inseparably one flesh with his mother. She is the flesh and blood of Jesus, the Holy One, whom the Lord will not allow to see corruption. So when her life is over, she has taken body and soul into heaven. Under her protective mantle, all Christians gather to form the church. May the prayers of this woman clothed with the sun bring Jesus to us and to the whole world. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God,